Hey everybody, this is Johnny, Garden Valley Brewing. Today we're going to bottle our Bunny and Rico's Shredded Couch Cream Ale. And here we've got 5 gallons of tasty brew sitting in the secondary fermenter here. It's been in there for about 3 weeks. And that looks nice and clear, so we'll see how this works out. And of course, the things we're going to need, got our sanitizer here, our Star San sanitizer. Gotta have that. I'm going to need about 48 12-ounce beer bottles, and I've only got, let's see, 24 here, 12 there, what's that, 36, so I'm going to have to go ahead and use some of these bombers too at the end. I don't know how many of those we'll get out of this. Bottle capper, bottle caps of course. There's our bottling wand that will hook up to the fermenter when we're ready. And most importantly, our carbonation drops. And first thing we got to do is sanitize everything. And we're going to start with these bottles. Okay, so I'm going to fill up my sink. I'm going to put about an ounce sanitizer in here. About a shot, heavy shot. Go ahead and fill this puppy up. About 3/4 of the way. And then once that's filled up, we'll go ahead and we'll submerge our bottles. Alright, we're all filled up here. About 3/4. First thing I'm going to submerge is the bottling wand. And there's a little push thing on here that when you're bottling, kind of lets the fluid come down. So I'm going to push that in. Try to get some fluid into that dude. Of course, anything that touches the beer now, from this point on, is going to have to be sanitized or we're going to have one nasty brew. And I'm going to start submerging these bottles. So I'm just going to put them down here until I have no bubbles left. Fill them up as much as I can. There we go, that one's done. And I'm just going to keep doing that. So all my bottles have been submerged. I may have to do several sinkfuls to get them all. And then we'll go from there. Okay, I've soaked all our bottles for about 20 minutes and I've begun rinsing them out now. And as I rinse them, and I'll put them on the towel over here. And so when I'm rinsing these dudes out, I just kind of like to run the water in there. I'm looking in the bottle until I see all the foam comes up to the top. And my goal is not to have too much of that foamy sanitizer left in there. It's not going to hurt anything. I just don't like it in there. But the sanitizer is foaming up, so that means it's doing its job. You can see the foam there. So we're going to go ahead and rinse all these dudes out, and then we'll go on to the next step. The bottles are all rinsed and sanitized here, and stacked up and ready to go. And before we can start bottling, however, we're going to need to sanitize some bottle caps. So I put some of the sanitizer here, just a little bit, into a little bowl, some water, and I'm soaking about 50 bottle caps. And we'll let them soak for about 10 minutes. And then we'll start bottling. Okay, we're going to start bottling now, and I'm going to start with my 12-ounce bottles. And so here's my bottling wand. I've got it hooked up here. And you can see at the bottom of the wand there's that little black detent. And if I push on that detent, once I have the valve open, there we go, you can see beer is starting to go into the tube there. So once I push on the detent, beer will flow into the bottle, and then I will watch the contents as it goes, and as soon as the beer gets up to the top of the neck, about here, I'm going to pull the bottle down, and that'll be just about the right amount in the bottle. Okay, we've got our brewing assistant here on the job, Chico. And before we start filling these, we're going to have to put a carbonation drop in each bottle. So the directions on the back here, and you probably can't read those, but essentially say 1 drop for a 350 milliliter bottle, which is a 12-ounce bottle. And then for a 750, which is going to be these bigger bomber dudes, we're going to put 2 drops in there. So we're just going to drop one in each bottle. Get them out of the bag here. It's pretty simple, just drop it in. So we're going to go ahead and do that in every bottle, and then we'll start putting some liquid in there. Okay, we've got our carb drops in the bottles, and we're just going to go ahead and get the first one going here. So I'm going to just push this bottle up till I hit that detent, and beer will start to flow. And then once this gets up to a certain point in the neck, almost to the very top, I'm just going to pull the bottle down so it gets off the detent, and that will be filled up just about the right amount. There we go. And I pull it down. Put that puppy over here. And then we will cap that after we fill the rest of these guys. So whenever I'm bottling, I like to sort of get a taste of the beer. Just see where we're at with it. See what it looks like. And sure, it's only 7:58 in the morning, but hell, it's noon somewhere. And just taking a look, it looks pretty good. It's pretty clear. Trying to copy an American lager, although it's not a lager, it's an ale, it's a cream ale. But it looks pretty good. And yeah, I think we're in good shape. So we'll just keep bottling. All right, so when we get down near the end here, we've got to tip this dude up a little bit, as you can see, to go ahead and get as much out of there as we can. So we're going to have to let that set a bit. We stirred up the yeast just a little. You can kind of see it. Yeast sediment at the bottom. Have to let that settle out before we bottle any more. We don't want to give anybody a bottle of yeast. So I think we'll just start capping what we've got so far. Okay, pretty easy from here. I'm just going to take a bottle cap out here. Got some special bottles for some special friends. You know who you are. Just put the cap on there like that. Take our bottle capper. Set it on there. Pull these handles down until they stop. Lift it up. Boom, a capped beer. So we'll do that with all the other bottles, and we'll go from there. Okay, so in the end here, we came out with about a case and a half of 12-ounce bottles. So I had a little less in there in the fermenter than I thought I did. So I must have had about maybe 4.5 or less gallons of beer in there, which typically happens. So yeah, a case and a half, and then one bomber bottle also, although that was the last bottle, so there might be some residual yeast in there. So I don't know if I'm going to want to drink that or not. We'll see. Okay, so now you can go ahead. You're artistic, and of course you can make your own labels and stick them on there. I don't like to do that for two reasons. A, too much time and effort. And then B, as you can see, I recycle bottles. And I don't feel like soaking them to get the labels off because they're a pain. So what I do instead, I take a permanent marker and I put something on the bottle caps. Usually I'll use a certain color cap so I know what batch of beer I have, but to remind me, this is a cream ale, so I got a CA on there. And I'm going to go ahead and write that on all these dudes and then put them in some case boxes. All right, we're all boxed up here. So I'm going to take these dudes and put them somewhere warm, about 70, 75 degrees, and let them sit there for at least 2 weeks. And by then they should be carbonated, although I probably won't try it until 3 weeks. And then I'll open one and make sure it's carbonated, and if it is, then I'll put some in the fridge, and then we'll have a taste test. We'll have some friends over, we'll film that, and we'll see what they think. So what's going to happen now inside the bottle? So those carbonation drops we put in there are just sugar. And there's some yeast still in the beer. In fact, if you look at this one the bomber, you can't really see it. It's a little cloudy. The yeast will settle out. But in these other bottles, there's residual yeast, and that yeast is going to be reactivated, start eating that sugar, It's going to carbonate the beer, and the cap on top is going to create some pressure, and we're going to have naturally carbonated, or they say bottle conditioned beer. And there you have it. Bottled beer. As always, our Garden Valley Brewing videos are filmed live at beautiful Terrace Lakes Resort in Garden Valley. This is Johnny for Garden Valley Brewing, the brewing assistant Chico. And remember, until the next video, stretch those livers.